Hello and welcome to this demo of WhatsApp application. In this demo, we will cover all the basic functionality of the application, and assuming that you have downloaded the application via the Apple Store or Google Play Store, you would have an icon that appears like this on your phone, and you would just go ahead and tap it. Okay, once you open up the application for the first time, you'll be greeted with a welcome screen, and we're going to start assuming that you don't have an account already and you just want to sign up for the very first time. So you would just go ahead and click on the sign up button, and you'll be asked to fill in some basic information. So let's just go through that. For the full name, we're going to enter Christian Evangelist as the name, and for the email, we're going to go with evangelist@whatsapp.org. There you go. Now, it's quite important to get the email here, the email that you use, and have access to. This email will be used to both verify your account as well as this is the email that you will be receiving any reports. Let's say you download through the application, or for any notification that the team at WhatsApp needs to send you. So make sure that you do have access to that email. Okay, now after the email, we now have the option to select an organization that we might be affiliated with. Now, if you don't have an organization, go ahead and just select the first option, which is the independent, small group, or not listed option. For this demo, however, we're going to go through an assumption that you do have an affiliation with an organization. There are two shown here as an example. Now, more organizations can be onboarded and hopefully will be onboarded as the application grows through usage. And it does give the organization's ability, through the combination of additional WhatsApp website, to basically monitor and to track the activity of their evangelists. So let's go ahead and assume that I am a member of the Christian Street Conversations team. So I will select that. As soon as I select it, I'm shown a couple of additional checkboxes that I'm able to select. The first one asks whether I'm a staff member or an employee of this organization. Just for the demonstration of this demo, I'll again assume that I am a staff member or an employee. So I'll go ahead and tick that now, just to protect selection of this checkbox for those who are not staff members or employees. There is a challenge. The application does ask for a code, and it assumes that those who are members of the organization will have received it through their leadership that would have shared this code with them as they were encouraging them to sign up for the application. So for the purposes of this demo, we'll go ahead and enter 9999. That is the code for test purposes. We're going to go ahead and confirm that. Now, there we go, and that checkbox is ticked. Now, it's important to note that there are no additional functionalities because of this checkbox being ticked in the application. This is purely a record in the database that, again, it is allowing organizations to basically just then, when they receive their reports about the activity that has been done on their behalf, this selection just allows those reports to be filtered according to those who have selected that they are indeed an employee or staff member. Okay, now the next question we have is whether we are actually happy to consent to share the data collected through this application. If you don't tick this box, then none of the data will be shared with the organization. They'll continue to be yours and yours alone. Only you will have access to it via the app. But for this purpose, let's go ahead and tick that box as well. Now, there's no further challenges here. It's either checked or unchecked. You can go ahead and do that. Finally, you do have the option to provide a church name that you are affiliated with. Again, this is an optional field. You don't have to fill it in. It is helpful for us in the organization WhatsApp team to have this information handy, and that is because if we do see multiple people using the app belonging to a specific church organization, it allows us to get in touch with that church to see whether they want to be formally onboarded as an organization themselves, so they can get and receive reports should they wish to for the activity that is done within on their behalf, basically. So just for the purposes of this demo, let us go ahead and tick that box as well. We are now given the ability to search for our church name. So in this case, let's go and enter a church. So let's go, this is All Souls in Langham Place. And let's search for it. There you go. The application is found. A church. Go ahead and select that. If that is the church that you recognize, go ahead and select that. And then finally, the app asks for you to agree to the privacy policy in terms of conditions. So it gives you the links here. You can click on those. The privacy policy, you can read quickly through that. It's closed, and likewise with terms and conditions. And there we go. We're going to close that. We're going to just go ahead and make sure that that's checked. You wouldn't be able to proceed without that being ticked. So now we've entered all of the information that's being asked of us. So let's go ahead and sign up. There you go. Now what the application has now done, it's sent you an email with a link asking you to click on that link to verify that you indeed have access to that email address. And let's go ahead. I'm going to do that just now separately. Okay, that's now being validated through the link. Now, as soon as I do that, I'm able to click the validate button here on the app as well. And here we are inside of the app. Now it's important to note that the sign up process is required only once you sign up. There's no need to log in again. So let me just demonstrate that. Let's assume that we will close this app now. Now we're out of it. Let's just make sure that's fully closed. There we go. That app is now completely gone. Let's go ahead and click it back in to get back into the app. There you go. There's no challenge for login. That is now your application, and you can click on the profile and you can again see information that we've just entered. Your user ID is now your email. Your name is there. We got the organization that we filled in with all the checkboxes. Now those checkboxes can now be unchecked here, and you can save that, or you can change your church. You can remove the church. Ultimately, you can also use this profile page to either sign out completely. If you do sign out, the application is going to ask you just to make sure that when you do sign in again, you will have to use the same email to gain access to your to any data that you registered and recorded via the app. You also have the option here to completely delete your profile, which is going to delete all of the information you've just entered, not just the information you just entered, but any outreaches and encounters that you may have, any data actually that you may have recorded using the app. Now to do that and to avoid any accidental deletes of your profile, so if you will have to type in this box the words delete all. If you don't type that, if you try to confirm the button, it will click on the confirm button, it will not have any effect. Again, that is to prevent accidental profile deletes. But if you do type it, we're not going to do that in this demo. But if you do type delete all and click confirm, your profile and all of your data will be deleted. So let's just cancel out of that for now. But here we go. Our profile is set up. Everything looks in order. Now let us go back to home. Now what we want to do is, obviously the application looks pretty blank, pretty sparse. There's nothing really to see here. For the application to be really useful, we're going to have to start and create an outreach. Now the data model for the application, and really there are two basic concepts that will be important to remember, and that is the concept of an outreach and a concept of an encounter. An outreach is any instance of street evangelism in any location at any given point in time. whereas an encounter is within that instance of the street evangelism activity. It is a meeting with a person who is stopping by to interact with yourself as part of that outreach. All encounters are part of an outreach, basically. So it is important for us to start and record any meetings that we may have had as part of activities. Therefore, it's important to start with creating an outreach first. So let's go ahead and do that. There's a button in the upper right corner. If we do press that button, new outreach, there you go. The application is now going to walk us through the new outreach process. Now it starts with location. Location is where this outreach is occurring or has occurred. There's two ways that you can enter your location. You can click on this little target icon here. If you do that, the application is going to ask you to confirm that it can access your device's location. And if you allow it to do that, it will basically pick it up and it will record the coordinates. And with those coordinates, it will also understand that which city, which country you are in, and those will be the location that will be the location that will be associated with the outreach. Now, we're not going to do that in that demo for privacy reasons, so we'll just say don't allow. Instead, we'll actually enter a location for the demo purposes. Let's say that is in Leicester Square, and that is in London. Oops. There we go. Leicester Square in Westminster. So there we go. We're just going to assume that this is where the outreach is occurring, in Leicester Square in London. Let's assume that that pointer is roughly where that outreach is occurring. The next thing that we want to do is make sure that the timing of the outreach is accurate. Now, for the outreach time, you can either go with what it says, it's going to pick up the current time, or you can go in the past. Let's say this outreach is something that has occurred. You're trying to record an event that is in the past. You can go ahead and do that as well. Let's say that this was today's February the 3rd. Let's say this was actually on Sunday, the February the 1st. Likewise, with the time, you can set when this outreach was happening. So let's say this was at 1 p.m. There we go. We're going to set that. The date goes back, just to show you, it goes back 2 months back, that you can select the date of the outreach. Obviously, you cannot set it in the future, but you can set it for, let's say, today, but a couple of hours in the future. That something, let's say, you're going to go about and do before you go out. You can create an outreach before actually you leave the door. That is something that's certainly possible. But let's assume this was the outreach on Sunday, February 1st, around 1 p.m. The next question, the app is asking whether it was done as part of a group of people, or were you just alone doing outreach. So go ahead, just a quick radio button, just to select group or alone. That's again of interest because of the kind of encounters that you'll be recording. It's interesting for reporting and analytics purposes, whether that was an outreach that was a group outreach or a solo one. Anyway, let us move on then. The next question is what activity has been done as part of the outreach. Let's select that, or is being done part of the outreach. It gives us a couple of options. Conversations, could be a deliverance ministry, could be a healing ministry, could be just a leafleting, some sort of a performance, let's say a song or music, some sort of theater type of street performance, or even a puppet show or something like that. Obviously, there's the preaching, whether that's amplified preaching or not. Either one would be that option, or sketchboarding. Those are the options available to us. So let's say in this case, every option you select, there'll be a little icon that appears. So let's say we're doing preaching, and we're doing some leafleting, and we expect to have some conversations with people as we do that. So that's it for now. Let's close that. The next question, it asks us whether we have a tag to add here. Now the tags are, right now there's nothing available here. Tags are special construct. It is meant for events that cross across organizations or across evangelists. Let's say this is a Christmas outreach that is organized across organizations and churches, and somebody organizes this collective mission, let's call it, and approaches us and said, look, we would like to record all of the outreach activity during that time. What they would do is they would come to us, we would issue them with a tag, and that tag would then appear in the app, and that tag then would be used for every evangelism that's part of that outreach. It'll be shared with them, and when they start their outreaches as part of that event, they would select it here, and there would be a way to just commonly connect all related data to that particular mission or an outreach. Now, in this case, we don't have any tags available. If we did, if we selected a tag, there will be just another pop-up. They will be asking for consent for that, understanding that that tag, automatically selection of that tag would mean that you are consenting to share your data for those outreaches that have that tag with the tag owner. So just make sure that you are okay with that. In this case, we don't have a tag, so we'll just proceed with the final text box here with just any additional remarks that we have about this specific outreach. So let's say we are saying that this is a, let's say, usual Sunday, Sunday afternoon outreach. There we go. And there we go. We've just entered all of the data for our outreach. We are in Leicester Square on Sunday, February the 1st at 1 p.m. And we're part of a group who was engaging in conversations, leafleting, and preaching. This is just a one-off event. We don't have a tag. It's not a part of any broader mission. And we just put some remarks for ourselves around this outreach. Again, this is optional field to put in. Let's go ahead and start that. There we go. Now we have our very first outreach on the app. A few things to note as this is shown is that there are a couple of icons that correspond to what we've just selected. Again, there's the group people icon to select that we're part of a group. The information about the time and location is placed here as well, just as we've selected it. Leicester Square, London on February the 1st. And there's a couple of small icons that correspond to the kind of activity that we will be engaging with. And the one thing that the app does also behind the scenes based on location and the time of that outreach, it does pull the weather data and shows you a little icon to say, well, on that day, on Sunday 1 p.m., it was day, but it was rainy. It was a rainy day, and it was about 9.6 Celsius, a fairly cold day to do outreach. In any case, that is start of outreach. That is our container. Now that we have a container, we can, first of all, we can go back into the container and we can edit. If we're just not happy with anything, we can modify pretty much all the information except the time and location parameters. If you made a mistake or if you don't like what you've entered, the way really to do that is just delete this outreach and then recreate it if you're not happy with the location or the timing. For anything else, you can change that data here. Let's say it wasn't part of a group, that was a mistake, we were actually alone. We're still doing all the activities and all the other information is still correct, but let's say now we are saving, and there you go. Just the icon is changed from being a group icon to being an individual icon. But here we go, we've just created our first outreach, and now we're ready to start entering some encounters, should we have any. So let us go through that process now. To add encounters into the outreach, you will just click on the new encounter button right in the top area of this outreach. Let's go ahead and click that. And there you go. The app is asking a couple of information elements about that outreach, starting with it's basically two categories of information that the app is asking about, and that is about the person you spoke to. Again, an encounter is a meeting with an actual person as part of the outreach being done on the street. And so the first several elements of information that are being asked about is about the person that we have met on the street. Starting with gender, were they male or female? Let's say they were male in this case. What was their ethnicity? Let's say we have spoken to a a person with a white background. Again, this is the very coarse selections, doesn't have to be precise, but just gives us a sense of ethnicity. Again, all of these pieces of information are meant to be non-identifying. There will not be any case here where we will be asking for a person's name or address. So it should all be anonymous about the person, but again, it allows us for the analytics and reporting purposes to understand who is it that we are speaking to and how they're responding. So let's go ahead and complete some of the other aspects of information that the application is asking for. These are all mandatory to complete, and these are something that a usual street evangelism would be able to, having met the person, having spoken to them, would be able to fill out pretty quickly and easily. So we've done the gender, we've done the ethnicity. Let's go ahead and click the age, and again, fairly coarse grain information that's being asked for, whether they're teen, young adult, middle-aged, or senior. I said this was an adult in this case. The next question is whether they have expressed any religious or philosophical affiliation, their background, basically their spiritual or religious background, if any. In this case, we have a number of options, anything from the unknown to other, and pretty much anything in between. It's all sort of ordered by alphabetic order. And let's say in this case, they were an agnostic. That's what we felt that their position was. Now that we entered those pieces of information about them, now the application is going to ask us what information about the encounter itself, starting with their receptiveness to message, the message in this case being the gospel message. This is what we as Christian street evangelists are out on the street to proclaim. It's the gospel message. So we will go ahead and click what the options are. Again, we have a few options at our disposal. So were they disinterested? Were they interested? Were they resistant? Were they just skeptical, or something else? Let's say in this case, they were agnostic, and so they're a little bit unsure, cautious. Let's go with that option for this case. And then the next question is, was there any follow through in that conversation, in that encounter, as that meeting went on? What happened basically at the end? Was there some sort of a closure, some sort of a sharing of information, whether the person took scripture or any sort of literature that was being offered? Did they end up sharing contact details, or did they arrange to meet, or something else? So we can just, there's a multiple choice option here, so we can go ahead and let's say that they took some literature, a leaflet that we offered them, and that was it. That was the extent. Or let's say that other than took literature, let's say something else as well, and it will describe a little bit in the description box what actually happened there. So in this case, again, we will encourage people to describe their encounter, what happened, but we do discourage to any sort of personally identifiable details to be shared about the person, just to preserve their privacy, unless they have given explicit permission to do so. But even then, they may have given you the permission to do so, but maybe they have not given it to for you to share with others. So we do encourage all of our users to not provide any detailed information. Maybe initials would be fine, or maybe just a first name if it's common is fine, but anything that is a full name or an address or anything that could be used to identify a person is not within the terms and conditions of this application. So with that in mind, let's say we will describe what happened. In this case, you can type, or you can even click on the little microphone button here and you can dictate what exactly happened. In this case, we'll just do a quick set of typing. So let's say the person was interested in our message and offered to give the leaflet. So, to give the leaflet that they took. Again, to give the leaflet that they to their friend. Okay, well, let's keep it as simple as that. So we have now entered information about the person, demographic details there. We have entered information about the encounter, what actually happened, how they responded, was there any follow-through, and a little bit about what has happened. So let's click add, and there we go. We now have our first encounter added to our first outreach. Okay, now that we have our first encounter and our first outreach created, what this now allows is the reports that the application has the ability to generate. We can click on that. Without an outreach and an encounter, these reports, the report page would just come up pretty much as blank, and it would point you to go ahead and create your first outreach and encounter. Now that we have one, we can use this tool here to basically get some insights, get some analytics and reporting done for all the outreaches that we've done. In this case, there's just one outreach, one encounter. It gives us information over the last year, how many we have done. Again, just one. The locations, our top 5 locations. What activity seems to be that we do most often during outreaches. Information about demographics of the people we speak to, about their age, and about their about the follow through, their responsiveness to the message, and about the follow through in this case. So also what we do have the ability to generate from here is if you click on the icon in the upper right corner, this now gives an ability to download all the data that we have collected through the application. Now clicking on that will basically give you another pop-up, and it will be asking you, do you want to download the data? And it will ask you to select the date range of the data you want to download. It pre-populates it with the date of your first and last outreach. In this case, there's only one outreach, and therefore there's only one date to be selected here. And it also asks you whether you want this information in a Word format or Excel file format. If you select the Word file format, which is a default, you basically get a single file with basically the information from your application, and it will be basically just on a one page, your outreach information you just entered and the encounter information you just entered. If you select the Excel file format, you will get 2 files delivered via email. One file will be just with the outreach information, and another file with all of the encounters and there will be an ID that you can use to link the two should you want to do that. Otherwise you get those two separate files because it gives you tabular information about each case. So you can go ahead and select which one you would want. If you click confirm, you just get a confirmation that you've indeed that application has sent you that to your email. And there we go. That is now being sent to us in our email. We received that. And go back to our screen for outreaches. The other thing that you can do here, obviously you can also edit your encounter. You can go back and correct any of the information. You can even delete it should you want to do that. We do not want to do that now. Go back. The other option that we haven't yet demoed, which we'll now talk about a little bit, is the option to this little star button here, is to generate an AI summary for the outreach. The reason that this functionality exists is basically to oftentimes we would do outreaches and we would have encounters. We want to share it with our social group, whether it's on WhatsApp or Instagram or anywhere else, and the idea is to therefore pray for these encounters, for these people that we've spoken to, and this just provides a convenient way to do that, to get all the information about that encounter and that outreach just in a simple, easy to share format, and AI is used to achieve that. So in this case, it would ask us whether we want to generate a short summary for sharing via social media, or something more longer that we can then put into, let's say, a newsletter or an email. In this case, we're going to go with a shorter version of the summary, and we will click on generate. And there we go. We have now been given some text that we can use to copy to clipboard. If you copy to clipboard, then you can then go and open up, close the WhatsApp. You can go and open up Instagram or Telegram or some other application, and you can paste it there. It's important to note that doing this generation AI summary functionality will send your information about your outreach and encounter to a third party for this text to be generated. So if you're not happy to do that, or if you want more information about why that is being done, how it's being done, please refer to our privacy policy. But otherwise, I would recommend, if you're not comfortable with that, do not use that information. Instead, maybe send a report to yourself, just like I demonstrated, either Word or Excel file, and maybe use that to then distribute the information as you see fit. In this case, we can copy that to clipboard, and then we can just close that. And that basically demonstrates the majority of the functionality of the app. You can continue to add outreaches. If you do that, then you have the navigation here at the top, where the arrows are grayed out now, but this is for navigation left to right, to go from one outreach to another. It basically the order that which you have created them. So the most recent one would appear in your home screen, and then you can navigate to the previous ones or to your last one. Likewise, the one final thing we haven't shown yet is this little question mark on the top, on the bottom right of the corner here. If you click that, that will just give you information about the application. Again, a reminder of the privacy policy in terms and conditions, and also the version of the application that is installed, as well as where to go for some help and more information. That is to our website, or to send us an email at support@whatsapp.org. And there we go. We've just covered pretty much most of the information, most of the functionality of the application. We hope you find it useful. If you do have any questions, please just send us an email at support@whatsapp.org. Thank you for watching this demo.